Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show, everyone. Last week, the title of the podcast was reviewing a wild card weekend. That didn't even do it justice because this week was so much wilder. I mean, last week was even wild. I was trying to hype you guys up, but this week was really wild. This week, in reality, was wild, and I don't even have to hype this up. This is crazy. We're gonna get into all of it. Of course, there was so much action. Every single game progressively got crazier. It was nuts. But first, of course, remember to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and all that great stuff. And again, I want to remind you about Juice Stool merch coming soon, and we will keep you posted on that as well. As you can see, Meisty's got the Juice Stool logo over there in the background, the beautiful logo. Let's get rolling. Anyway, Bengals Titans felt like a millennium ago, but in reality, it was right Saturday afternoon, just about 48 hours ago. And it was a really crazy game. I mean, it was just like a typical close game, right? 10-point lead. Titans came back, but critical interception at the end. I mean, it was pretty crazy. There was 25 seconds left, and the Titans were knocking on the door of field goal range. And, the ball gets tipped up. I want to give a lot of credit to the Bengals defense in this game because I know people are going to point fingers at Ryan Tannehill for throwing those 3 interceptions. But 2 of those interceptions, whether they were his fault or not, maybe a little late on that last interception, maybe great plays by the Bengals defense. Just really showed up and really made some key plays in this game. But what do you think, Meisty? Joe Burrow, here he is, AFC Championship game. It's his first full year, and here he is. Like, what do you think about that? Young quarterbacks coming in and making an impact right away.
You made a good point on his defense. That it's been this way all season with them. They just show up when they need to. Like that one play, and they're there all season. They need to stop this game. They got the stop. It's like so. Joe Burrow has just been outstanding. We've questioned, will he stay cool under pressure? Doesn't matter what's coming at him. He's earning his way to the Mahomes and Josh Allen level. He's getting there. I mean, he's in the AFC Championship game. It's unbelievable. But
hot take of the night. There it is.
No, my hot take of the night for the Bills Chiefs game. But
hot take number one.
Hot take number one. No, but he we say, oh, he made it to the AFC Championship game. Mark Sanchez made it to the AFC Championship game. Making it to the AFC Championship game is one thing. It's great. When he wins the Super Bowl, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, we'll talk, But until then, he's in the AFC Championship game. It's very nice. It's good. You know that you have to complete the season. So, Joe Burrow, I'll give him a lot of credit. He's making the throws. He's making the plays. He's doing what he's got to do. His defense is showing up when they need to. So, the Bengals are just clicking right now, and there's no better time to get hot than in the playoffs. I mean, that's the goal of the season, to win the playoffs. So that's really it. I mean, the Bengals are just winning. So what do you got?
They honestly didn't stop the run as much as I thought they would have in a game that they won. Like they gave up 140 rushing yards, but they stopped Derrick Henry relatively. They only gave up 62 yards and one carry, so 3.7 yards per carry. Even Foreman was running better than him, but Derrick Henry, he's coming back, so he's the guy.
You want to hear something funny? Someone tweeted out, Mike Renner from PFF. He tweeted out how many people thought Derrick Henry broke off that 50-yard run.
Exactly.
They had no idea who it was.
Exactly. He looks like a smaller. He's got the dreads. He looks like a smaller, less Derrick Henry, and he's like a great value Derrick Henry. But Derrick Henry's return. I mean, I was saying it all week. I didn't think, and I was buying into Rockies. Running backs don't matter as much as people think. And obviously Henry was an outlier, but I knew he was going to be rusty coming back. And they shut him down for Derrick Henry. They shut him down, and their defense stepped up, made all these plays. And Ryan Tannehill made one absolutely insane throw to A.J. Brown for that back shoulder touchdown after they got that incredible interception back from the Bengals. And you thought, oh, okay, here the Titans are going to clamp down, and they got 9 sacks. But Burrow didn't give up, and he even behind this, horrendous offensive line that's going to cost them eventually. He didn't quit. He kept fighting, and he hit Jamar Chase right after the interception with 20 seconds left. He hit Jamar Chase on that 15-20-yard out route. They got him into field goal range, and he made the plays when he needed to. He didn't even throw a touchdown, and it wasn't his best game, but Tennessee defense is really solid. But he stepped up when he needed to, and Ryan Tannehill shrunk in this matchup. Throwing 3 interceptions and costing his team the game with that final drive and with that final interception when they're trying to drive down for their own game-winning field goal. And then just the confidence that the Bengals had in McPherson, their rookie kicker. I think they had a timeout left. I thought they were going to try to run maybe for 10 more yards or try to get couple more yards, get a little closer to that final field goal. But then I just see Burrow go down to the right side because McPherson likes on the right. And I'm like,
for a loss of 3, by the way.
Yeah, for a loss of 3. And I'm like, okay.
Made it a plus 50 plus yards.
Sure. Like, good try. Yeah. It's a rookie. And he nailed it. Like it's given me shades of Justin Tucker from his rookie year in 2012. Well, when he was undrafted, but the Bengals, they tweeted right after, that's why he drafted kicker. But they were able to come out the win. And I was saying, I've been saying DVOA, man, it matters. The Titans were not as good as everyone thought, and it's going to cost them. Their quarterback cost them, and their offense was just sluggish. And besides that one throw by Tannehill and a couple throws to AJ Brown, they are just not as good as a 1 seed should be. And another 1 seed that we talked about that we're going to talk about actually had a good offense. They also got shut down, but I just knew the Titans were gonna be one and done.
Yeah, Meisty was actually dead on this weekend because we were all going, no, the 1 seeds, they generally make it far. They both lost this weekend. Both the teams with the bye lost on Saturday, which is crazy. I think the 9
2 seeds lost.
And one of the 2, right, as well, exactly, which is pretty crazy in its own right. And the other 2 seed could have gone either way. But anyway, So the 9 sack number is interesting because, yes, the Titans sacked Burrow 9 times, but only pressured him 13. So that means, generally you'll have this phenomenon in certain games where the pressures are converted into sacks. Right, like a team can get home 20 times and only convert them into 4 sacks. Yeah. This time, the Titans got home 13 and converted almost all of them into sacks. So it wasn't like they were pressuring Burrow all day. He dropped back 37 times, I believe. Don't quote me on that. 37 times. And they pressured him 13. So that means there were 24 dropbacks where he was throwing the ball from a clean pocket out of 37. That's actually not such a bad number. That's below the average. In fact, the week before against the Raiders, he was under pressure more often, more frequently. Well, Max Crosby can do that more frequently than he was this week against the Titans. So I don't think the Bengals offensive line was as big of a train wreck. It's just that when they were losing their battles, they were losing real good. That's really what it was. But they weren't losing their battles, percentage-wise, as much as people pointed out. I just like to take away the narrative over there.
I hear that. That could be on the quarterback also taking and on the game plan where they're scheming up deeper routes because they think the Titans corners or whatever aren't as good and not going to be able to stop them. So they scheme up the deeper routes and Burrow doesn't have anywhere to go. So he takes them. Some of them could be on him, but some of them could be on the play calling as well.
Was there any?
Go ahead.
Was there any injury report or anything on Joe Burrow after being sacked 9 times?
He's been sacked. He's been sacked more times than any other quarterback besides Ryan Tannehill this year.
He's used to it.
Yeah, and he's a Bengal.
Yeah,
they never built an offensive line their whole lives.
Yeah,
why start now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They got a little better this year, a little better. Like I said, 13 pressures is not terrible. Could have been a lot worse. But you mentioned Mark Sanchez made the AFC Championship game. I believe the year prior to that, when Sanchez didn't start, they were 9-7, right, with Brett Favre. I don't remember exactly, right? They had Brett Favre at the end of his career, and they were 9-7, and then they were 9-7 in Sanchez's rookie year. So I don't think it's a great comparison. The Bengals were absolutely awful heading into this year. You saw the impact the lack of Burrow had on the Bengals last year when he went out and they barely won a game. So I probably not a very good comparison. But anyway,
you're right. That was a bad comparison. But if you go back, you'll look how many quarterbacks that they won the wild card game and then they beat the one team and you're like, oh, this is so good. And it's like, look who it is at the end of the day. It's these random quarterbacks, and they'll make the Super Bowl even. If they have to beat the Chiefs, you're talking about Andy Reid. Like, forget it.
Yeah, I think his point more was Burrow's going to the AFC Championship, and I know that is a big accomplishment in and of itself. But Mark Sanchez has been to an AFC Championship as well.
Right.
Gotta prove it. I mean, he Burrow's
in a row,
but we'll see. We'll see if and handle
the difference. The Jets had, I think, the number one defense that year, but either
and the best run too.
That was exactly my point, right? But the Bengals even certainly improved in a lot of aspects. But yeah, there were no Jets defense that year. All right, so I think we'll move on, to the next game.
Yep.
Niners, Packers. This was absolutely nuts also, right? We almost think the Bengals-Titans game wasn't even crazy. It was a crazy close game. But this Niners-Packers, I mean, basically what happened is the Packers went down and scored in the first drive, right? And you're thinking, right, we're all thinking the same thing. Okay, here we go, right? Rodgers is going to dominate this game. And then the next drive, they also drove down the field, got to about the 41 into plus territory, 41-yard line. And then the Mercedes Lewis fumble. That changed everything. Mercedes Lewis fumbled the ball, and the Packers only got into Niners territory twice the entire game. And one time they did convert it into a field goal. One time the field goal was in fact blocked. So obviously that was huge. And what happened to the Packers? They do this all the time. They start off a game hot, and then their foot, especially in the playoffs, their foot on the gas, and then they take the foot off the gas. And then all of a sudden, it's just not working. And I am mind boggles because Rodgers, especially in those last two drives, he had an opportunity to bring them down and win the game, just like Garoppolo did. And we'll get to Garoppolo a little soon. I have a strong opinion there. But obviously, Rodgers did not do it. 3 incompletions on that last play and just not on the same page as Davante Adams. Seems like the Niners did a great job of taking away a Rodgers' first read. And when they did that, he wasn't going to second or third reads. Valdes-Scantling wasn't in this game. He did not get Cobb. We mentioned this in the podcast last week. He's very good at getting Cobb and Lazard and those guys involved. Yeah. He didn't. Other than Adams and Aaron Jones, the remaining receivers on the Packers had 2 receptions in this game. So it was just the Adams and Aaron Jones show. And they took away Adams. Nothing. I mean, nothing to show for it. Like, Yehuda, what happened to Rodgers? I'm trying to wrap my mind around it.
I think it came down it came down to no trust in the other guys. DVOA did say they weren't as good as we all thought they were, and how atrocious their special teams were. It's 3 phases of the game, so there is a part of that. But their offense, you could see on the third down play that Rocky was talking about, where he chucks it deep to Davante Adams. And the second he throws it, I'm like, okay, here's some Aaron Rodgers magic right now. And I'm like, whoa, he's double covered. Like, okay, here's Davante Adams magic. I'm like, it doesn't happen. But if you watch the camera pan over, it looked like Alan Lazard was wide open in the middle of the field. I'm like, what are you doing? Just take your guy over the middle for 10-yard gain, get a first down, move the football down the field and set up a game-winning classic Aaron Rodgers drive. And it looked like he didn't want to throw to anyone but Davante and Aaron Jones. His number one receiver was Aaron Jones, our running back, who got a big breakaway catch that didn't end up in a touchdown. But Alan Lazard and Mercedes, 2 other guys, one other receiver getting a target. Randall Cobb not even getting a target. Like, he has no trust.
Crazy.
And I don't know what he's doing. You have to get your other guys involved. The Niners are going to double, even triple Davante Adams, like we've seen in some games. And when that happens, you throw to other guys. And he's done it before, but he just locked up in the postseason. I don't know.
Get the other guys involved. Remember, Meisty said that about the Bills-Chiefs game, and Dave Davis went off for over 200 yards. So you're right, But yeah, continue. Yeah, but he didn't. Just wanted to.
I don't know. I don't know where it went. I'm very confused. But then you, on the other side, you've got to give Jimmy G credit. I know, Rocky, you have the big Jimmy G hate, and
where's my pull-up bar?
Yeah,
my Jimmy G under.
But yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah.
I think he had 0 yards going into the second quarter or something.
Yeah.
Remember to bring up the Mahomes over later in the show.
Yeah.
Remember
we were live talking about that, live texting about that. That was a little fluky because of that George Kittle pass over the middle that he dropped that could have been a touchdown. But yeah, the Jimmy G under is a solid hit. But when Jimmy G needed to come through, when it was 10-10, 3:30 left, and he just got the ball back, I thought either they're going to flame out and Jimmy G's going to make a mistake and make a fumble or interception. Something's going to happen poorly and the Packers will get bailed out, or he's going to drive down and score, and then Rodgers will respond with an epic comeback drive. But he played the clock perfectly. He played the drive beautifully, hitting passes over the middle, running the ball. Beautiful timing job. 3.5 minutes, beautiful 4-minute drive. They call 4-minute offense. get down in field goal range. Robbie Gould nails it. Robbie is gold. And you got to give him credit for that drive. You got to give him credit for all his flaws. He's just coming through in the clutch to pull off that major upset.
If there's 60 minutes of football, and for 3 minutes he made a couple nice throws, but for the rest of it he was awful. And I'm not I don't know. I keep on saying that's all the Niners have. All you have to do is beat the Niners and put the game in Jimmy G's hands. And that's the Packers did, and that's why they didn't score any points on offense. It came down to Jimmy G needing to make 1 or 2 throws, and ultimately he did. I give him credit. The fact that he was in that position after the fact, he was in the position and he put them. But of course, they were in that hole because of him. The offense couldn't get anything going, and if it weren't for some fluke special teams, and the Packers, one of the worst special teams performances I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Special teams can impact the game, and Yehuda's been pointing this out. It definitely can, but most of the time it doesn't have that big of an impact unless the unit is this awful.
That's
and you saw what happened. Right? No, 100%. And they've been awful the entire year. Apparently. I don't know the numbers exactly, but that apparently one of the worst special teams in the league. Last play of the first half, you had the block field goal. The very next play of the game, which was the first play of the second half, Deebo Samuel brings it to the 50-yard line, and then they march down the field a little more and get a field goal, and that was huge, right? That's what got the Niners finally on the board. And then obviously you had some more returns. You had the last field goal where they didn't get all the 10 men on the field. Like I very rarely see, you have the 10 men on the field thing happen, but on a field goal, let alone a field goal at the end of the game, what are you doing? Get 11 men on the field. Come on, how do you do that? And then the block punt was bizarre because the ball flies in the air. And everyone's like time freezes. Like, what's going on? Like, do we even know where the ball is? But I think I'm confused. Like, did they just not know where the ball was, or did they just think that the ball, like, there was no ball? Like, did it disappear?
You can't track the ball in that situation. Everyone's looking for it to go straight
idea.
up, and it goes up in the air.
Do they just stop?
No,
you're looking for it.
Someone's got to get eyes on the ball. Someone's got to call it out.
Coaches have to say where it is. Coaches have to be like, behind you.
Yeah.
So, is that a thing?
And what else are they supposed to do, Rocky?
I don't know. I'm asking you. That's why I'm bringing it up. I was confused. But you guys, cleared my confusion. I'm just saying, this is a wacky game. This was wacky. So many wacky plays. What'd you say, Feisty?
I'll say it like this. I'll keep it short and simple. I've never seen a team be able to drive about 15, 20 yards every single drive with ease to like the 40, 45-yard line, and then just, nope, no more yards. We are the Packers. We can, like, what are you expecting? Like a Hail Mary at that point? They should have just gone to the Hail Mary. They probably would have had some catches. Like, they were getting to midfield almost every time without an issue, and then just stop. All right, let's play cowboy football.
I think this game, I saw a stat on Twitter that this is the first playoff game that a team won without an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's quite possible. I wouldn't be, especially against, it's probably the first time anyone's beaten Aaron Rodgers without an offensive touchdown. To be honest, we have to look up those stats, but it was just
talking
bizarre.
About random quarterbacks in championship games. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to a championship game in 20 years.
Second time in 20 years.
We're going to talk about.
Right,
20 years, unless he wins a Super Bowl, you have to win the Super Bowl for it to be a good
year. I'm sorry. They're in there in spite of him.
This is the same team plus like Deebo that went to the Super Bowl, 2-3 years ago? It's the same Niners team. No, only better.
Their defense is not as good.
I think the defense is good, but not as good. Yeah.
Right.
But now they have
it's a good defense, but like you mentioned, it struggles in the secondary. But up front, they have a great pass rush. Pass rush was the story of the weekend in a lot of ways, for sure. But one of the stories of the weekend. But anyway, this was crazy, and we're all scratching our heads and wondering why the heck Rodgers played so bad down the stretch here. But I think
last thing, the special teams. I thought it was going to burn them in the NFC Championship. We all did. We all thought they're going to NFC Championship, but it just burned them so much earlier. And now
you did call
it. The blame is it's on Rodgers a little bit, but I think it is fair to blame the special teams a lot more because if that punt gets off, I don't know if I see Jimmy G coming down 10-3, making a touchdown drive, a game-tying touchdown drive. I don't think that would happen. The fact that he only had to get a field goal and he only needed 40 yards instead of a full touchdown drive, I think was just game-changing. So the Packers probably should have won that game 10-3, and then we have concerns about the Packers offense, and then we'd see them NFC Championship game probably wither again, and the special teams make a mistake, but just special teams just atrocious.
Yep, absolutely. And you were dead on about the special teams having an impact, about as big of an impact as special teams possibly can. And that ultimately was the Packers' downfall, that and Rodgers just not playing up to par. So, we'll have some interesting storylines we'll have to discuss, obviously. Rodgers heading into the offseason, that'll probably become a little more clear, although there'll probably be a lot of unclarity surrounding that as well. We'll head to the next game, Rams-Bucs, which, looked to be fine. No, we had great games last night, Saturday, and then finally we get our first blowout, our first, mismatch, our first landslide. And lo and behold, for no apparent reason whatsoever, the Rams fumbled the ball 3 times in the second half and decided to let the Bucs right back into the game. And 27-3 lead just disappears, and not even quickly, slowly. Like the Bucs are slowly chipping out the lead. First, it's a field goal in the fourth quarter, and everyone's wondering hey, you're down by 24 and you're getting a field goal. I understand logic, I guess, but is it going to help you that much? And then okay, you get the touchdown, the big play to Mike Evans, and you're okay, this is getting a little closer. And then all of a sudden, you have a big fumble in Rams territory, and the Bucs take it down and score it, and it's a tie ball game. This was nuts. And everyone was well, make it 28-3. How many people were calling for the Rams to go for 2 on that last touchdown? Make it 28-3. 28-3. We'll have the same comeback. But I don't want to say Brady did it, but Brady and the Bucs did it. They came back and they erased a 24-plus point deficit 2 times in the last 5 years. Brady's probably, for sure, he's the first player to do it once, so he's obviously the first player to do it twice. The question is he the first player to do it twice, including the regular season? I didn't stat check that. Yeah. I'm not sure. But this was just a crazy game, and it came down to the 0 blitz at the end of the game. The 0 blitz, and Stafford chucks it up there to Cooper Kupp. He's wide open. Why are you blitzing? You have a guy that's one of the best route runners in football, one-on-one with a safety. All you need is 30 yards, end up getting 50, 60 yards, and Stafford made a big throw. Stafford made some big-time throws in this game, credit to him. But why the 0 blitz at the end of the game, guys? Why the 0 blitz?
We talked about it. I don't know why. Todd Bowles knows this. I gave you all the stats about how good Stafford is against the blitz. He knows that. I don't know why you're 0 blitzing, going back to get it's your identity and what you want to do. But like you said, Rocky, they've got one of the best route runners, the best receiver in the game this year. Arguably Devontae Adams with Devontae. You have a very, very capable number 2, Odell. You have a good deep threat, Van Jefferson. Don't blitz. just stay back. And I think he was inclined to blitz because of what had happened the play before. I don't know if they necessarily blitzed in the 20-yard gain to Cooper Kupp that got him down for the play right before that. So maybe he said, okay, I need to go back to my identity and bring my guys, bring the house. But Stafford burned them. And after that insane comeback and incredible luck that Brady got, I really thought he was going to be able to pull it off again. 23 was nothing for him. So 27-3, what's another one less point? It's nothing for him. So I thought it was going to happen, but Stafford made some incredible throws, and that bomb to Cooper Kupp was his best throw of the season, and he just found his
biggest of his career.
Biggest throw of his career.
Yeah.
And gets down in time to spike it with 4 seconds left. They didn't even have a timeout. They got down to spike it. Just absolutely incredible awareness, incredible play. He completely defied my expectations, and I thought every drive I was like, here comes the Stafford pick six. Here comes the Stafford special this year. I know it's going to happen.
Me too.
Brady is so lucky. He's gonna will his defense to a pick six or a turnover, and the fumbles were happening, but it wasn't the one that went over his head wasn't his fault, and the mistakes were not Stafford's fault. He played a flawless game, and he was doing all he could to keep his team in the game, and then he won them the game with an incredible throw and just absolutely legacy changing throw right there. And now he has a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
If you didn't think at some point when Brady got the ball back and it was 27, I don't know, whatever, 10, and if you didn't think he was going to win at that, then you haven't been watching football for the last 20 years. Even Rams fans were sitting there we're not going to win. We're just not winning this game. We're just not. There's no way. There's just no way. And Brady knew. I mean, that was so typical Brady. It was so crazy. And I can't believe the Rams pulled it off. To me, it's unbelievable that the Rams pulled it off. Brady did everything he could, and his defense just didn't show up. It was an incredible game. I think that was a better game than the last game of the night, but we're not going to talk about that. That's for another time.
I heard people complaining on Twitter that the 2 calls in the beginning of the game changed the whole outcome. The Brady, the no pass, roughing the passer on Brady, and then the penalty on Vita Vea.
Yeah.
When like Stafford kicked him or something.
Oh,
Or was taunting or something on Vita Vea, and he didn't do anything. So people were saying that kind of changed the outcome a lot, and the refs weren't calling it for Brady yet, like they usually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
I think the big key to this game was just the fact that Brady, we mentioned, right? I got to tell you, in terms of predictions for games and in-game props and stuff like that, I was just dead wrong the entire weekend. Except for me predicting the Chiefs to beat the Bills, I got nothing else right. But I said, listen, Tristan Wirfs might miss the game, as Yehuda pointed out, and he's the best pass blocking tackle in the league, so that was huge. But Brady can get the ball out of his hands quickly, even though you're going up against the likes of Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, those big boys up front. You still have the Brady who's perfectly suited for this. He can compensate for that. It came back to bite them. Tristan Wirfs' backup was getting shredded, and when they had to single cover Aaron Donald, he was shredding opposing linemen as he normally does when he's single covered. So it was just the Rams pass rush constantly getting to Brady, guys not getting open quick enough, not having the playmakers to get open quick enough in order for him to release the ball quickly. And Brady had a tough day. He had a tough day.
Yeah, you saw them transition Gronk into just going on Aaron Donald, just blocking with him because they needed somebody. And that's limiting Brady's passing options also. The double threat. They're removing Gronk from the equation a little bit.
I mean, even their left tackle Donovan Smith was getting absolutely toasted by not even Von Miller, by like Ebukam and their other backup pass rushers. So Brady was under duress a lot during the game, but I thought it wouldn't matter because Tom Brady, and he was getting all the breaks, and he was able to come back from a 27-10 after he fumbled it. I thought, okay, that's it. That's going to be game. But then we got that crazy 20-yard fumble where they basically, the Bucs basically gained 20 yards on a fumble because they fumble it to the Rams.
It was nuts.
Fumble it right back. And so I gave him a free 20 yards. And so I said, okay, here, this is comeback time. This is it. But we can't give, I think we have to hold Brady into some regard. Like he made some mistakes and he was missing some throws that he should have made early on that could have kept them, somewhat in the game. And the defense, while they were they were also getting toasted, like for the 70-yard touchdown that we saw. They were making plays like the one where they forced the fumble on Cam Akers. And because if he scores right there and they go up, I think that would have made it 27-3. And then they would have gotten the ball back and they probably would score, make it 34-3. Then it's over. Tom Brady can't do that, but to hold them and to keep it at 20-3, because we knew the Rams were going to score at, during the second half, and they made it 27-3. Then you're like, okay, Tom Brady still has a chance, and they were forcing all these fumbles and getting a little lucky in the fumbles. But Tom Brady made most of the plays that he needed to. But early on, he was missing throws, and even on the comeback drive, you could see him missing like these 10-yard out routes that he usually hits. And I was a little confused, like how that's happening. If, he's still playing in the prime of his career, but it comes down to Stafford. Stafford made the throw, the legacy-defining throw, and was able to win, and finished off Brady. And now Brady, like we talked about Rodgers' questions going into the offseason, the Brady questions are going to be strong now as well.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously Stafford almost fumbled at the end of the game. So there were a lot of like impact fumbles there. Actually, I think they didn't even rule it as a fumble in the end, even though he did recover. But anyway, no, Stafford played great, got him credit, and obviously, outplayed Brady in this game. So we had, Jimmy G beating Rodgers. We had, what's his name? We had Stafford beating Brady. So it was pretty crazy. Any final thoughts on the game before we move on? All right.
Rams could go play 2 straight games in their home stadium.
Yes, I point that on Twitter. That's a very good point. All right, let's move on. Bills Chiefs. So this was an absolutely crazy game, obviously, right? Some would argue the craziest game of the weekend. Some would argue one of the craziest games they've seen in recent memory. People forget quickly about Chargers Raiders, right? I mean, in the moment, that game was absolutely nuts. We were calling one of the craziest games of all time. Now, if we try to, put them up against each other, which one was crazier? Maybe because of the ramifications of the game was a divisional round. That was also essentially a playoff game in a lot of ways, but this was a little deeper into the playoffs, obviously. But this was just an absolutely crazy game from beginning to end. Crazy how we were discussing that the over, almost didn't hit 54.5 was the over under. It was at 47 points with 2 minutes left. And then not only did the over hit after the next touchdown, it just got clobbered because that was nuts. NFL research pointed out that was the first time in NFL playoffs history that there were 3 lead changes in the last 2 minutes of the game, which was just crazy. Not only 3 lead changes, like you had just bursts of scores, right? You had Josh Allen marching down the field, boom. And then you had Tyreek Hill in an instant just running down the field and a touchdown. And then you had Josh Allen again, 62 seconds. What did I tell you, Yehuda? Me and Yehuda were obviously, we're discussing it during the game. And I'm like, Tyreek Hill right now, go down at the one. I was screaming, go down at the one. 62 seconds, 3 timeouts. Yehuda didn't like it. But 62 seconds, 3 timeouts. Josh Allen has been cooking the entire game, and you are giving this man an opportunity with it's over a minute left. It's not 20 seconds left. It's 3 timeouts. You have the whole field at your disposal. Go down at the one. And by the way, we didn't even bring this up with the Bucs Rams in the last game, right? Like, why score there with 37 seconds left? They scored. Again, I don't like the strategy. I like today's NFL, teams can score in an instant. I like burning the clock. It's my theory. You go down at the one, you are not guaranteed a touchdown, but you are guaranteed pretty much a field goal, and you are almost guaranteed a touchdown. If you can't score, you have 4 chances, essentially, right, to score a touchdown there. I'm taking my chances at 4 chances from the half-yard line to score a touchdown and not giving Josh Allen the ball back. That's my opinion. Whatever. Anyway, 13 seconds left. Mahomes goes down, and just what are the Bills? I mean, I know I've gone nuts like 7 times already, but Travis Kelce's wide open in the middle of the field. Travis Kelce in his post-game interview, Mahomes was pretty much saying, it was a very cool interview. He was pretty much saying, like, that wasn't even the play for Travis Kelce. And Travis just, like, changed it. He just ran his own route at the line. He's like, yo, I'm going to do this. And Mahomes is like, you know what? Why not do it? The defense is giving it to us. And he ran right up the middle and just got like 30 yards and got a lot of yards after catch as well. And the question is, you don't have to cover the sidelines like they have 2 timeouts left. Like, why leave the middle of the field open? Yes, I understand that's a strategy generally at the end of the game if you can't stop the clock. But the Chiefs had every opportunity to stop the clock, and the middle of the field's wide open, and Travis Kelce is their favorite weapon in these late game situations in the middle of the field. How many times did we talk about Yehuda? Middle of the field, quarterbacks love it. Even veterans like Patrick Mahomes, they'll take the middle of the field if they can get it. Veterans, he's in her 4th year, but he plays like a veteran. They'll take that. They'll take that if they can get it, right? What happened at the end of this game with these defenses? It was just crazy. It was pandemonium.
So interesting that you say that. I didn't hear that where he said Kelce ran his own route. But if you look on that play where he throws to Kelce where they had 8 seconds left, he had thrown to Hill to play before. But if you look on the play, he double clutched for a second, and then he's like, oh, Kelce's running a go route, up the seam, and he hits him past a 30-yard gain. And I was wondering, I was like, what are you double clutching for? Are you pump faking? I don't understand why you would.
Right. That was
6-yard pass, but he's like, oh, okay, he's doing his own thing. But that's the trust and the connection that they have. Incredible play. But yeah, we're still going to argue about that going down, because I said nothing is guaranteed in the NFL, and you got to take what you can get. And that seemed like the time where, I mean, granted they did have Honey Badger out and they had a bunch of injuries in the secondary, but that seemed like the time in the game where the Chiefs are going to score. There's a minute left. Josh Allen, the moment would have been too big for him, and he's going to make some mistake, and the Chiefs are with that one defensive stop that's going to happen in the game. It's going to win in the game, and then no one got that defensive stop. Honestly, like both teams didn't make a defensive stop in that critical situation, and that's now creating some controversy with the overtime coin flip, which that's a whole nother conversation. But all in all, this game was absolutely insane. And I saw that Patrick Mahomes actually had the most rushing yards of any player.
You stole from me.
Well, great
Hey,
minds,
Cover
great
Girls.
minds. Yeah.
Coming to you fresh face from
Sorry about
home.
that.
Remember that? I was the Cover Girl in
Not my guest
1998, and
he had the he had the most rushing yards of any player in the divisional weekend, and he just put the team on his back and just absolutely made plays. He took what the defense gave him and the flats when they were playing the cover high shell, and then he hit Kelsey and Hill the big plays to when it was available. But the most insane crazy thing that we have never ever seen before. Granted, they had 2 timeouts, but
now I'm curious.
We want to talk about legacy defining plays and legacy defining throws. 13 seconds and you get the ball in field goal range. That is absolutely insane. And just it doesn't make sense. And I thought, oh my God, the Bills are finally going to break through. Josh Allen did not make the mistake that I was expecting. He did not make the mistake. He did not shrink. He played awesome. He played really, 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 really well. But Mahomes played even better. And he got the ball downfield, which in 13 seconds. But a whole nother conversation. I think if you have a guy who's a special teams coach, who's someone who knows what to do in those situations, i.e. a John Harbaugh, someone from a special teams background, you squib that ball. Or you have a kicker, and the Bills have a capable kicker in Bass. You kick the ball to the 2. You kick the ball where they have to return it. You kick a ball that has to be returned. You make them use their 4 or 5 seconds. Make them use 3 seconds. They have 13 seconds. That does not happen. That should not happen. You rush 1 guy on defense. You rush 2 guys. All you need is the clock to run out. Like a sack helps, obviously, of course, but don't rush 4. You're not playing normal defense. Just rush 1 or 2. Make him. I honestly could see them rush 0. You put 11 guys back. Mahomes not going to be able to find anyone. He only has 5 pass catchers. He's okay if he runs for 15 yards. Well, that's great. But if he uses up 7, 8, 9 seconds, then they're down to 4 seconds. But that was
the Hail Mary situation, right?
Inexcusable by the defensive coordinator at the end. But still, a absolutely incredible. It's a drive, but it's 2 plays to pass to Hill and Kelsey to get them into field goal range. And then even though everyone is saying, oh, it's inevitable, like the Chiefs got the ball first, so it's not fair, the Bills should at least touch the ball. They still have to go down the field and drive to score a game-winning touchdown.
Definitely not touching the overtime rules. Not touching the overtime rules.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about it. But yeah, you're an NFL defense. You can hold them. If you hold them to a field goal, then Josh Allen could get a chance and go out there and win it with a touchdown. But Patrick Mahomes, again, a game-winning drive in overtime at home with that bag shoulder, and then pandemonium just ensues in a case. It's insane.
Do we know why? Do we know why there was no penalty called on Tyreek Hill for taunting at the end of his run?
I've been trying to figure this out.
It was the most
obvious call.
People were talking about it. People were talking about it.
They made a rule for this. They made a rule because of him, for him, because of him, that stops people from taunting in mid-play. And out there he is doing his famous thing, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's okay." Why?
The Tyreek Hill rule. That's what we call it.
It literally is the Tyreek Hill, and then so I have a hot take on this.
Let's go back.
All right. This is one of the more boring games. Okay, until about 8 minutes to go in this game, right? Finally, things started to happen. Okay, no, let's be real. Literally, this game was till Harrison Butker kicked a field goal with 9 minutes to go, 8:55 left on the clock. And at that point, it was 26-21. I mean, like, all right, it's okay. That's a close game, but nothing really was happening. Each team was scoring a touchdown a quarter, and this thing happened. No crazy plays in the game. Josh Allen was running the ball. That was typical, and he was getting stopped at the line. It was a typical.
Patrick Mahomes was running the ball.
Patrick Mahomes was running the ball. It was a typical. It wasn't this. Whoa, what a game! It was typical. 2 very good teams. Two probably you can call it the future of quarterbacks in the league going at it. It was a typical game. It wasn't anything special. And all of a sudden, in the last 5 minutes of the game, there's 7,000 points, and defenses are just decided to go to Cancun, and everyone else is just chilling and off, and all of a sudden then touchdowns. It was 26-21, and I said to my father at that point, I said, this game is going to end in the 30s because both these teams, that's just how it is. Both these teams, yes, you know what? Credit to the offenses. They're both very capable of just clearly going down the field in 1, 2, 3 plays, calling it a day. They're right, just big play teams. But until the end of that game, there was nothing that was like, whoa, got me out of my seat. You know, there was at the end of the game, yes, Gabe Davis got me out of my seat when he just retired somebody's ankles. I mean, you know, yes, that's, you know, until then, but all the way up to then, I wasn't like, and it wasn't like this, like Chiefs Rams Monday Night Football a couple of years back. That got me. I was with Rocky watching it. Maybe more than I was out of my seat most of that game, just going,
what did you say?
Who
played in that game? Who played in that game?
Chiefs and Rams.
Who can play next week in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Feisty. Yeah.
Chiefs and Rams, baby. Let's get it. But I want to say that, no, the Chiefs-Rams Monday Night Football game had me out of my seat because that was entertaining from start to finish. Every play, something crazy happened. This game was a typical, yes, it was a very good game. We talked about it before the week. We talked about it. This game is going to be insane. It's going to be such a good game. And it was. It lived up to the expectations. But everyone's now treating it as if like, oh, this was the game of the century. What game of the century? It was the last 5 minutes of the century, maybe. Yeah, I'll give it that. The last 5 minutes of that game was the game of the century. Oh, let's go crazy.
Chargers Raiders was the same thing. Exactly.
Exactly.
It wasn't crazy at all until the end. No, but that's the point. The end of the game, a crazy ending is what makes it exciting. Like if that would have happened a 2-minute stretch in the middle of the second quarter, nobody would have cared.
It wasn't.
But I mean, it would be crazy. It would be fun.
It wasn't that exciting. It was what 2 plays. There was zero.
No, it was back and forth. Nobody got more than a double-digit lead.
It looked like the NBA All-Star game. There was no defense.
It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And that game was a back and forth both ways. And
forth.
The last drive, those last couple plays, the last 5 minutes was big plays. But you
had 4 touchdowns in 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes. You had 4 touchdowns.
The Bills touchdown that put them ahead 29-26 with 154 left was a 17-play drive. That was a methodical couple fourth down conversions, touchdown to Gabe Davis.
That was wild. That was a wild drive. Yeah. That was the one drive of the game. That drive made it the drive of the year. I'll give it that. But other than that, that game to me was just like, it was a great game. It lived up to the expectations, but it wasn't this. We're at this level of like, this is the game of the century. It was not the game. The Chiefs-Rams was the only reason is because it was playoffs. The Chiefs-Rams is still, to me, the greatest game of the century to ever play.
That's a factor. The magnitude of the game is certainly a factor. It's one of the biggest factors.
Yeah.
I'm adding it. Even with the playoff on the line, it was not the most exciting game of the century.
No, obviously.
It was good.
I'm not saying, right, we're not trying to suggest that, you know,
I'll rate it an 8 out of 10.
You keep these games close. Nobody got more than they got a double-digit lead the entire game. As long as these games are within striking distance, you have a potential for a crazy finish, and that's what you look for in these games. It's back and forth. You're not going to see anything like eye-popping in the middle of a game for the most part, right? It's just a matter of keeping it close so that it can be crazy at the end.
You're telling me the Bucs Rams game officially is a good game? It was a horrible game. That was one of the worst.
No, I was about to say. If according to your logic, that was. Is this mine?
Probably. Yes.
Yeah, that was mine. According to your logic, according to your logic, Bucs Rams was an awful game. Not just awful. I mean, they were blowing them out the entire game. Here, at least it was close, right? You had it close. That's sort of. But here you had it just 27-3 awful. Okay, they made a couple plays at the end to make it close. But like, you know, that's not the logic. It was still a great game. Everyone was still hyping it up. I'm sure it got great ratings. Everyone was going nuts on social media because you had that crazy ending.
Yeah.
It was Brady. It was 2 scores. He needed 2 scores. It was Brady needing 2. Brady needed 2 scores with a quarter to go.
Nothing for him.
Routine.
Back and forth is what makes it exciting. And games where we expect the Chiefs to just take over and finish them off. But like we saw, they were up 23-14 after they missed the extra point, and then Josh Allen responded with one pass, Gabe Davis 75-yard touchdown. And just threw the Bills back in the game. It was back and forth all game. I don't know how you could say this game wasn't exciting. Obviously, people are prisoners of the moment. They're going to say
it lived the moment. It lived up to the hype. You're missing the point. I'm not talking about the fact. I'm not saying boring game, 2 out of 10. No, it got an 8 out of 10. It lived up to the hype that we talked about, but it didn't exceed the hype. We literally expected a crazy finish. We knew it was going to be a crazy
that
finish.
Didn't exceed.
No one expected this ending.
Come on, yeah.
That was nuts.
We expected a crazy finish. Yes, it was exceptional. It was a wild finish, but it wasn't. First of all, a good finish, by the way, to me, would have been if there were defensive stops towards the end of the game. There was nothing.
Yeah.
These defenses literally sat back and went on vacation.
That is what is expected. You're not expected to drive down the field with 13 seconds and get a field goal. That's why it blew past.
No, you are expecting. No, a guy like Mr. $500 million man is expected to drive down the field with ease. It's when you stop him and be like, you stop the $500 million. I'm just upset that the Bills lost. Okay, I don't want to talk about it much more than that, but let's just go that.
Well,
I'll give you this. Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's the last person I want to see. I don't want to see Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Let's just keep it at that. The other factors to Mahomes making the Super Bowl is even worse, right? It's not just Mahomes that goes to the Super Bowl. It's everyone else that's Mahomes that goes to the Super Bowl. I don't want to see Tyreek Hill in the Super Bowl. I don't want to see – I don't care. I'd rather see Joe freaking Burrow, who's my arch nemesis, division rival, go to the Super Bowl.
I mean, you can dream it. I mean, if you will it is no dream, but it's a little bit of a dream right now. If the Bills, who are the best defense in the league, can't get a 13-second stop, okay, on Patrick Mahomes.
Who was it at 30? That was Yehuda. I could have made let's talk about that last play, the Kelsey play. That defender lined up on Kelsey. There was no one there. Yeah. He completely is running towards
the sideline.
He's running towards the Bahamas, that guy. The safety was running to North Korea. They were like, here, Kelsey, take it. Here's this wide open. Here's the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to give you the Atlantic. It wasn't even bad defense. They literally just were like, play underneath. Like, it wasn't even playing. Like, okay, I'll let everything underneath. That means you build a freaking wall at 10 yards deep and you allow everything underneath. First of all, the worst team to do that to is the Chiefs, because they just give it to Tyreek Hill 7 yards deep and then he outruns all of you. So it's stupid. So you want to play like that. You play one guy on Tyreek, you play one guy on Travis Kelsey, man on man, and everyone else can play prevent. I mean, it was just so stupid. Whoever made the play call should just literally lose his job yesterday. Last night, he should have been cut. Whether it was McDermott who called out the prevent defense like that, whether it's the defensive coordinator, whoever it is, they got to go.
It was like Moses splitting the sea. Why didn't Travis Kelsey just why didn't they just let him go? And then would the clock have run out, or would they have called it dead?
I got a text when the Chiefs got the ball with 1:50 left. I got a text message. Someone said if the Bills were smart, they would just let him score on one play and then take the ball and waste time and score on the last play.
Yeah,
someone texted me that, and
that's what they did. Maybe they let Tyreek Hill score on purpose.
Yeah, well. Yeah, they stopped 13 seconds. How 13 seconds?
I think guaranteed. I think, Rocky, I was talking about that in the moment, but I think when you give yourself up, then you go down, and
I think you're right.
He's going to call the timeout no matter what. And the fact that it got 3 seconds, it wasn't even 1 second. They drove down the field in 10 seconds. It's unbelievable. They didn't take 12 and a half seconds. They drove down the field in 10 seconds. That's what lifts this past, right? Like, Meisty, you were expecting the defensive stop. You were expecting the one team to make a defensive play. And we say, okay, it all comes down to one defensive stop. This is what we've talked about many times, the big offenses. And then no one made a stop. That is what is crazy.
Who here thought that Harrison Butker's kick was just going to go wide left? Yeah. And it would have just been I literally would have lost myself. That would have made it interesting. That would have been
yeah. But
credit.
Even more interesting would have been the refs were talking to Andy Reid at the end there. Remember, they blew all the fireworks. They said, we're going to the AFC Championship game. And then they're like, oh, nope, Kelsey bobbled it a little bit. And then like a fumble.
Romo went nuts. Oh, it's not over yet, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, it's not over, Jim.
Oh, it's over, Jim.
It's over.
It's over. By the way, I gotta give a shout out to Josh Allen. Okay, the man in 2 playoff games, 637 yards, 48 for 62 through the air, 9 touchdown passes, and don't forget 133 yards on the ground, 17 carries. That is literally 7.8 yards per carry. Just absolutely nuts. But ultimately, it was Mahomes. Not throughout the course of the game. Like if you
lose Rocky.
We lost Rocky.
We lost Rocky. You could have continued from where he left off.
Rocky, hold on. While we wait for Rocky, Rocky's going to come back.
I think the defense gave him, and ultimately he came out on top.
He's back.
Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Yeah, Rocky. Rocky. Good take, Rocky. Good take.
Rocky,
But did we lose you? When did you lose me?
expound your amazing wisdom.
Mid-sentence, we lost it.
Yeah.
Was he gone again? Oh, he's gone again.
No, the one thing is, I did, as soon as they interviewed Mahomes, I was like, if he doesn't say something about Josh Allen before he even says anything else, whether it's his team, like he had to just talk about Josh Allen before he even said like, oh, it's my team and my coaching. Like he went right for it. He was like, dude, Josh Allen is the man. That was unreal.
It's so entertaining to watch him run and like escape the pocket. He, like runs around and he just bodies people. He bodies defenders just running across the line of scrimmage. It's amazing to watch.
It's unreal, but you have guys like Mahomes when they scramble. Mahomes looks so unathletic. He looks like his brother.
He, like, his arms are kind of
when he's
waving.
running, and you're like, just tackle the man, just grab him, and then like he swimmers away, and you're like, oh my god.
That was the slowest in the 2019 AFC Championship game. Was the slowest 30-yard touchdown run against the Titans I've ever seen, and he's still making slow. Yeah, he does not look very unathletic. He does not look very athletic, but like Morty said.
Yeah.
Josh Allen running is just he's a trait. He's 6'5". He's like Ben Roethlisberger size, but leaner, faster, and bigger. And he runs into people. And
by the way, also the threat that Josh Allen brings on like while he's scrambling to just be able to launch the ball off bounds, like it's something. If Lamar had that, it would be Lamar. I mean, we talking about the Ravens in the Super Bowls. Like Josh Allen has that a bit like. That threat of just being like, as he's about to like cross over the line, he's like, I got a guy wide open.
And I can still
throw
it. None of the defenders are going to come up. They have to play defense until the last second when he finally his foot crosses the line, and then they can run. Until then,
I'm upset with Diggs. I thought Diggs would have a much bigger game. I know they were obviously playing very tight defense to him, but like when you're supposed to be, you want to be the best receiver in football, you got to show up when your team needs you. Like he showed up. Like the fact is that yes, Gabriel Davis had 4 touchdowns. Like there was no big plays from Diggs. There was no screens. Just like let it. Like you have to get like that's why the Packers, Devontae Adams, they overused that. Let the star perform. The star needs to perform. I don't know why. I have to go back and really look into why Diggs just wasn't, what was he doing on routes? Why was he just like, because like, we all talked about this Diggs revenge game. And like, there was no Diggs revenge game. And then they didn't even have Diggs on the sideline at the end of the game. He already was they had Isaiah McKenzie crying like, who?
Yeah.
Who? No one cares for Isaiah McKenzie. Probably won't even be on the team next year.
You guys have me back? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, good. I don't know what you guys were talking about the last couple minutes, but I'm sure it was very entertaining.
Oh, you want to hear your take? What was your take that you were giving us? It was wisdom.
No, I was rattling off some stats. I was saying that Josh Allen, had a very impressive playoff run here, right? So obviously completed, 48 of his 62 passes, 637 yards on the ground, 7.8 yards per carry, 17 carries, 138 yards, 133 yards. And 9 touchdown passes, and yet he'll be going out in the divisional round. So it's very sad. Only one game. He only gets 1 win out of those 2 games, and doesn't even reach the AFC Championship game because Mahomes was just, ice water in his veins. I said throughout the game, if you look at the game in its scope, Allen actually outplayed Mahomes. But just in that fourth quarter and overtime, Mahomes was near perfect. And that's what it came down to, right? You had Mahomes coming out on top, making the plays when he needed to, and just outplaying Allen at the end of the game. Just outplaying. Allen did everything he could, but Mahomes just did a little more because he had the last chance.
Tony Romo mentioned it last night during the broadcast that the record for most touchdowns in the postseason is 11. The guy had 9 in 2 games, and he's not even in. He's going home. It's insane. Like, imagine if he wins, he probably breaks the record next week. Like, I mean, like that's just Like as Rocky, you missed it. I said it, but after the game, they interviewed Mahomes, right? And I sat turn. I was watching my father, and I was like, "Oh, he's going to mention Josh Allen first. If not, he's a jerk." And the first thing Mahomes said was like, shout out to I forgot exactly the word he used, but basically shouted out Josh Allen for a heck of a game. And I was like, and that's why he gets paid $500 million.
You're right. Well, you saw at the end of the game when they were all celebrating and he sort of like ran out of the celebration to like hug Josh Allen at the end of the game. Sure. Yeah, there it is. Right. They said go, a legend, respecting legend over there. So a lot of people expect us to be putting in.
The NFL should use that extra week 18 game and just pick like rival of each team, and that's who they play on. Like This should just be the matchup. As long as Mahomes and Allen are there should be a game at some point every year for the next, 10 years that just have the Bills Chiefs matchup.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they will because they're always in first place, so they'll play again next year. And good chance they'll play again in the playoffs. We'll have to see.
At the Patriots.
Maybe if the Patriots have been coming all of a sudden. Stephon Diggs will have to. I don't know if he was out there last night on the field because it wasn't like the celebration when you win the championship, right? There's confetti and there's trophy ceremony, but maybe he was out there watching them celebrate. I don't know, but he'll have to soak it in and try again next year because
did you hear what what McPherson said to Joe Burrow before he went out to kick? Yeah, do you hear what he said to Josh Allen, to Joe Burrow before he went out to kick it?
Oh yeah.
What's that?
He went to him, he turned to him and he said, "We're going to the AFC Championship game."
Yeah. Oh, Burrow was all over that. That was funny. I know. Burrow's got that swagger. That's what people like about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, McPherson was pretty legendary moment. But
yeah, it was. He hit that clutch. There was some clutch field goals. So that's it, right? Do you have anyone have any closing words before we wrap it up here?
I mean, I saw something that said that this might have been the Super Bowl, predicted it even before the actual insane game that was hyped up and lived up to the hype and maybe even surpassed the hype.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree because I don't know if I can see any team beating the Chiefs. And if the Bills would have won, I think I would have taken them to go to the Super Bowl and probably win and beat any NFC team that's thrown at them. So it's tough that this was divisional round and like Meisty said that Josh Allen had 9 touchdowns. Imagine how much he could have shattered that 11 touchdown record set by none other than Joe Flacco, postseason record. But imagine how many more touchdowns he could have thrown in the postseason. But it's frustrating that it was in the divisional round and not with AFC championship stakes on it. But it still was incredible and amazing to watch. And just a legendary game that will go down in NFL history for sure.
Yehuda, just a quick note for the future of this podcast. We don't mention such names on this podcast.
No, I'm new.
He went to an AFC Championship game, though. He wasn't an AFC champ. He won a Super Bowl.
Really?
Well,
so the Bills will obviously have to wait one more year to get their first Super Bowl in franchise history, right? One of the more disappointing teams that haven't had one being that they lost 4 straight Super Bowls. So obviously they'll have to wait. And, something tells me they'll be back and they'll be competing for Super Bowls for years to come. Done. Okay, thank you for joining us, everyone. It's been a blast. It was an incredible weekend of football. We can only hope for even half of that next weekend. Listen, Niners, Rams, and we have Bengals, Chiefs, which were 2 of the best games of the season down the stretch. So, we have hope. We have hope for some good football. We'll have to wait a few more days for that. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll, of course, have the previews for those games later in the week. That's going to be great. That's going to be a lot of fun. So much to break down there. So many great matchups. In the meantime, thank you for joining us, everyone, and have a great day.